Day 2 of building an Osage recurve. To start, I'll remove the sapwood off the back of the bow and expose the heartwood. After that, we'll lay out the profile of the bow. We'll determine the fades and the handle. So, let's start removing the sapwood. There you go. Most of the sapwood is now removed. I was using the hatchet here. Now I can come in with the draw knife and more technically advance into the heartwood. I want to be careful here because I'm chasing a ring. Any violation made in the back of the bow will result in a weak point, and a weak point could be a broken bow. So I've been thinking about the handle and what I'm going to do for it. Maybe take some bone or some antler and mix up some adhesive or some epoxy basically, and slap that onto the handle to increase the thickness, the depth of the handle here, because that's just too thin right here. I'm actually really looking forward to that part. I think it'll fade nicely into the limbs of the bow, and I think I have enough antler for that. So I've been thinking about doing that, and that's what I'm gonna do. So this is it's been a pretty fun project, making me think and get creative. Now, I tilted the blade up just to cut those off because I don't want to dig into the heartwood. I want to take my time here. Nice, beautiful heartwood right here. Now, I'm just looking for some difference of the early and the late wood. I've only done this once. This is my second time doing it, you guys. I mean, please, I'm looking for some advice. I'm a big woodworker. I've made all sorts of things with wood, but I haven't made a whole lot of bows, so this is cool. That's beautiful. So here you can see the rings of the Osage. We have the early wood, which is this thin white line, very soft and porous wood. And then the more broad, dense ring is the late wood. This is what you want to use for the back of Osage. Technically, as a tree comes out of hibernation, it creates a very fast-growing ring, which is the early wood. This is so it sends the sap up the tree. And then as the year progresses, the ring becomes more dense and harder. This is the late wood. So technically speaking, it's all one ring. Alright, so the back's looking pretty decent. I got all the sapwood pretty much off, and I'm still attacking the early wood. I need to chase that ring, and I've got a little bit longer to go. I'm going to use the draw knife, continue working on it. This project might turn out alright. Alright, so I'm up here on the deck now, and I've got the bow clamped down on the railing here with the towel underneath to take out all those undulations. So I'm just using the draw knife, and I'm coming in here and I'm attacking all of the early wood that I see here, trying to chase that ring and expose that late wood. There's some colorations going on, and you know, being a beginner too, it's kind of hard to identify what's what. I'm just really taking my time and doing little bits. So now after I chase this ring and I have a whole layer of late wood here, I'm going to go ahead and even it out and try and take out all these small little nicks I made with the draw knife and my hatchet. I'm going to be using the draw knife as a scraper. So I'm going to start evening all this out and try and have a really smooth back here. So all I'm doing here is scraping, evening out the late wood, chasing my ring here. You can see I have one even ring here on the back of the bow, and I'm following the early wood, the line that goes all the way down here, and I'm making sure that stays below the edge of my back. There we go. So I just finished out this limb here, and now I scooted the bow down. I'm going to be working in the handle section here and evening this all out. Do some good scraping here. After that, I'm going to flip the bow and I'll work that limb. It's looking pretty good so far, nice and smooth. There's a little bit of a flaw here. I think with my hatchet or draw knife, I dug in too deep here and exposed a ring below my back. Now this is okay, and I'm really lucky because the center point of the bow is right here at 33 inches, and I plan on having 3 to 4 inches of fade until the limbs. The handle is in here. It's going to be skinny right in this section, so I'm really lucky because this will more than likely be removed. You can see it right here, this one exposed ring. So I'm lucky, but you need to keep that in mind, to just be careful and take your time with going through the back. So when I go to lay the draw knife down, I'm laying it down very gently and I'm gliding towards me. And then after I start, I then begin to increase the pressure. So that way I don't make any marks in the back of the bow when I lay the draw knife down. I have my continuous ring here from nock to nock, super exciting. So let's go ahead and profile this bow. All right, let's lay out the profile here. Length of the bow is just over 65 inches. This draw length needs to be 28 doubled, 56 plus 8 for the handle. That's the handle and the fades. So that's 64. And then you add 2 for the tip, 66. This bow's coming in right under 66. This will be about a 27-inch, 27/8-inch draw length. But we're just gonna go ahead and mark the center here, 32.5. All right, there's center right here. We're gonna come up 2 inches, and then we do 2 inches here. So we have a 4-inch handle. And then we're gonna do 2 on each side for the fades. So this is where our fade will end and the limb begins. So now let's go ahead and get some width on here. Okay, so here's center, 4 inches for the handle and 2 inches for the fades. That's 8 inches total. Now before I do the width, let's go ahead and draw a line, stay faithful to the wood, and be very true to the whole bow here. And I'm gonna have a center line here, so that way I can determine the width of the handle and the fades and also the limbs here. There we go. That's the best I could do, and I'm gonna roll with it. Looking down the stave, it's pretty much center. You know, this is the art of making a self bow, is that there's gonna be undulations, it's gonna move. I'm doing what I can, I'm doing what I know right now. The center of the handle will be 1.25 inches, and then the bottom of the handle is right at 1 inch. There we go. 1.25 inches. And 1 inch here. So we have a good little fade. It's kind of a bulbous shape. Now I can take this little scraper tool I have and connect these dots. All right, there's the handle. Okay, so for the fades, they're gonna be 1 3/4 inch. There we go. So this is 1 3/4. This is the width of the limbs, and that'll go all the way down for about 11 to 12 inches to the nock. And then it'll start to fade. So let's do the same up here. We're looking for 1 3/4. We're gonna meet it in the center at 7/8 right there. And then we're gonna come down and mark the inch. And from there, we're coming all the way across to 1 3/4. Here we go. From fade to fade, we have 8 inches, 2 inches on the fades. And then we have 4 inches in the handle. Nice bulbous shape. Pretty good shape right there. And then we just continue this line all the way down to the nock. All right, we're gonna come down 1 inch for the nocks. Stay center right there, perfect. And then the width of the tips will be 1/2 inch. So that's 1/4 inch from center. The profile of the bow's all laid out. The handle looks nice and even. I tried my best to stay faithful to the wood. Not too bad. I'm going to take my time removing the material outside of this profile, outside the sketch here, because if I want to make any tweaks or adjustments to it in the future, I'll have a little bit of wood to work with. So I'm not going to go exactly to the lines, but I'll get pretty close. And right now, let's just start removing the material and bring this bow to life. All right, so I'm back out here. The rain stopped and the sun came out. It's pretty nice. It's actually really good because the lighting out here is just better. I can see the details of the stave here, and that's important before I continue into this profile. I can see what I'm working with. I'm looking down the stave here, and I notice the profile, the sketch of the bow I have, could be placed a little bit better. I'm thinking about completely redoing the sketching here. I'm not certain on it yet. I'm just kind of pondering it because the profile here, the outline will be the bow, you know? So I want to make sure it's in the right place and it's the wood within this stave that I want for the bow. It looks like it could be moved over just a little bit. Maybe the tips could be straightened out. You can see here the last foot has a slight twist in it. Small kink right here, and it starts to turn. The same thing happens down at this end of the bow. It's hard to see, but it's there. So I need to think about if I want to adjust this profile before I start removing material. Okay, so after looking down the bow here, taking a look at the profile and the stave, there's a little bit of twisted and curviness going on at the end of the limbs. I've decided I'm going to go ahead and start removing material. I'm going to work my way into the profile of the bow. I'm going to move slowly and I'll make decisions as I go and keep an eye on both ends, looking down the bow, seeing if anything needs to be changed before I remove too much. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and slowly start removing material. Okay, so I made an adjustment to this limb. I shifted the profile over about 1/8 to 1/4 inch. And I'm gonna redraw these lines. Looking down the whole stave, it makes sense to shift this. There's a little bit of a curve going on. So small adjustment. I'm going to connect these dots here and fix that profile sketch and see how it looks. So I'm going to go ahead and start removing some material around the handle here and get that to shape. Overall, it's looking pretty good. Things are somewhat lined up. It's a pretty decent stave. It's slightly twisted, but it's not too bad. We removed the material outside the profile. I'm pretty close to the lines here. I recentered it, did a slight tweak to it. It looks a lot better now. So everything's looking pretty good. And we're gonna go ahead and start removing the material around this handle here. There's a few knots and things in here. I'm not quite sure how the back and the bow is gonna react to that under tension, but it definitely could be a weak point. But I don't think those should cause too much of a problem. If I need to do a little more scraping, I will. All right, let's start removing the material here at the handle and get it to shape. All right, so I just got done taking out the material here on one side of the handle and it looks pretty good. I'm taking my time, being careful because there's a lot of angles and fading going on. I don't want to splinter up any wood. So I'm going to remove the material on this side of the handle as well. Just do the same thing. I'm excited about this because, to begin with, this stave, the handle section here, there's not enough depth, and I wasn't sure what to do. I knew I could do something, that's why I still went with this stave, and now after handling it more, I'm getting a little more excited because I think I'm going to do some sort of antler or horn, some bone overlay or something, anything I can find. So that'll add a really cool look, a nice accent to this whole bow. But yeah, I'm excited about that. So let's just keep removing this material and shape up this handle a little bit more. There we go. The handle's all shaped out. Looks real nice. It feels really good too. I actually don't think I'm gonna have to add any overlay, which I'm kind of sad about. After the limbs are reduced, it feels like it'll be just right. Pew! There you go. That looks real good. I got to head in this evening to go visit my dad. It's Memorial Day, so it's a day for remembering the people who risked their lives to save this country. So I'm gonna go spend this evening with my father and enjoy the rest of the day. I'm really happy with how this bow's looking, and I hope you guys are enjoying these videos too. I'll be working on it tomorrow. Tomorrow will be day 3, and I'm just gonna keep putting out these videos until the bow is done. I'm trying to get the videos out because it helps my channel out, so if you want to subscribe, please, you know, it means so much to me. I'm just trying to make cool survival content. I don't claim to be an expert, and I probably never will. I just like doing this stuff, and I think it's really cool, and I want to share it with the world. But the handle looks great. That's real nice. I think with a leather wrap on it, it'll fit just perfect. I'm kind of sad because I wanted to do a nice big horn overlay. I still might. I think it'll look really cool. And back it with the snake skins and some horn knocks. But yeah, I'm excited. All right, so I've been reducing the depth of the limbs, and it's starting to look more like a bow. This thing is looking really cool. I'm very excited. The whole point of this project, I want to be patient and slow down. I want this to be a powerful and reliable hunting tool. So I'm not going to do much more today. I have the small axe here, and that can only do so much. Vise it down and start working it with the draw knife. The handle looks good, and I think I've made some good progress on it. For now, I'll work on it just a little bit longer, and then I'll end it for the day. And we'll find out if this stick turns into a reliable hunting tool.